All right, guys, welcome to the Zahn Insider. This is our first edition. This is something we want to run once a quarter. We'll get your feedback from this particular one. This is also being recorded, so we'll get feedback from those watching the recorded. So today's is going to be a mixture of live as we are now. So if I start to say live and I stutter, you'll know that it really is live. Also on camera, I've got Ed Igerson. And I've also got Peter Michaelides. Peter Michaelides will be doing one of the presentations, and then I'll be doing an interview actually live in the Fort Worth facility. Well, it was live when it was recorded, but live in the facility in Fort Worth, which is a beautiful new distribution center of ours. So looking forward to getting their portions put in here too. There's also a Q&A portion over on the side of your screen where you can put questions in as we move through this thing. So again, combination of live. When you see us on camera, we'll be live, and the other portions will have some videos. Getting feedback. Love to know how we can do this better next time. The goal here is to be closer with our customers. In my little recorded intro here, I'll talk about what we're looking to do and what we're looking to bring you guys for some value. So, Carrie, if we can go ahead and hit the intro, please. Hello, welcome to the first episode of our brand new series, the Zahn Insider. I'm Mark Palmer, General Manager and Vice President here at Zahn Dental. I could not be more excited to get this started with you. I was an entrepreneur much like yourselves, a small business owner. One of the biggest problems I faced was resources. I didn't have the resources that larger companies had. Resources like IT teams, internal data management teams, Six Sigma teams, project management, efficiency teams, employee development, and training teams. I didn't have any of those. Now at Henry Schein, we have the best of the best. So in this podcast, we're going to break this thing down into three parts. The first part will be to bring you market data. I'll do a presentation for you on the business out there. How are the dentists doing? How is their crown volume doing? How is that going month over month? Crowns, bridges, implant cases, denture cases, much more. Anything you need too, you can also give me feedback not only during the presentation, but after the presentation. We can bring back more data for you better. Our goal is to bring you valuable data to compare to your business, to make changes you may need to make, to do better at business. We want to bring you whatever's valuable in these resources that we have. Now let's talk about the second part. Second part's where I bring you one of those resources I mentioned there from Henry Schein, from our team here. The first one I'm super excited about is going to be our Six Sigma team. They're going to do a presentation on effectiveness and efficiencies, and they're going to leave you with some valuable Six Sigma exercises that you'll be able to use in your laboratory immediately. Now, the third part is pretty exciting too. Here's where we'll do a little bit of a traveling podcast. Each one is going to be at a different place that I think would be valuable for you to learn about. Our first one is going to be at our newest distribution center in Fort Worth, Texas. We're going to do some virtual tours of the facility. We're then going to have an interview with the VP of Distribution for the U.S., West, and Canada, Ed Igerson. We're going to talk to him about what he's using from a technology perspective in the distribution center. What is he bringing there to make us more effective and more efficient in that distribution center? We'll be able to ask him some questions, get his feedback. Really looking forward to seeing you guys. I'll see you soon. Mark Palmer. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick here. Back to the live portion. You can tell somehow I look younger in the recording. I think they might have added a little bit of Photoshop for me there. All right, so what I'm bringing to you this time, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that crown data and information that I talked about there. But what they told me on that is I need to pre-record it just because we're a publicly held company. So I'll give you a little bit of information on that. But what I thought I could bring to you today is how do you bring value and data to your customers? Some of the things to think about as we go through today's presentation, I'd love to get more feedback on, is what do you guys think of the teams I brought this time with Peter, Six Sigma, and then with Ed also. running distribution for us. Tell me what you think, and then tell me what we can do next time. Some ideas I've had is maybe bringing in a cybersecurity expert, with that being a kind of top of the mind situation across the country, as well as maybe you will get some data management tools here called Power BI, which I'll go through that crown data in the next episode with you as well. So Power BI is a really unique tool where we can slice and dice data in all kind of different directions and show you how you can actually take your lab management data, production data, customer data, et cetera, and manipulate that in something that's just a little bit elevated over Excel. So today, though, we're going to focus on top 10% of doctors out there. We have a partner company in Jarvis who's done a phenomenal job of growing practices. So today, what I want to show you is the difference that they have found out there in the market, analyzing about 2,500 doctors. What do the 10% do? What do they do differently? What are the results of those? You can take this data, one, and help you focus on where you should be focusing your business. What doctors should you be focusing on? And the second is have some key takeaways here. What do I tell my doctors who are not in the top 10%? How do I bring them up to speed and get them closer to being in the top 10%? You'll see as I go through this data why you want them in the top 10%. So this is a lot of stuff on the screen here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there's some hurdles out there. We got rising costs, we've got things going on in the market. But what we've seen is our top practices are finding creative ways to thrive. They're investing in innovative technologies, in partners, in solutions. Again, what we're focusing on is the 10% and how that 10% in actual data varies from the average of the other portion of the 2,500 dental practices that they researched. So, quick couple little statements here. 1 in 4 dental practices struggling to fill their appointment schedule. That's lost revenue, lost opportunities. And what that means for our laboratories is, lost restorations, et cetera. Top 10% are focusing on technology, marketing, and continuous contact and outreach to their practices. Some of those stats we're talking about, make scheduling easy, make it online, have reminders, etc. Differences between that top 10% and the average across, again, new patients per month. 35 new patients per month on average across the 2,500 practices. On your top 10%, 86. That's almost triple the business. Average appointments per day, again, almost triple the business here, 36 versus 107. Average appointment lead time for a new patient. On that other portion, we've got 39 days. Average on that top 10%, 5.4 days. We'll see in a minute why that's super important as well. Average patient retention rate, top 10%, 99%. So not only are they adding almost triple the new patients on a monthly basis, they're also maintaining almost double of those patients. So those practices are growing much faster. Average no-show rates, 4% versus 1%. And these are key areas for these practices to focus on, and key points for you to make when you're having a discussion with, maybe top 15% or top 10% of your doctors, talking to them about what they can be doing best and better. Marketing budget. 70%, 95% use online reviews. This is of the top 10%. 77% expect their dental practice to have a website. This is the surveys of the people going to all these 2,500 doctors. Again, back into these numbers. Average confirmation rate, 44%, 87%. Average cancellation rates, we've talked about a little bit before, but 12%, 1%. Average reappointment rate, 77% versus 94%. And this is big too. So all that is great. We got lots of appointments. What about average gross production? So this is for offices, 17,000 on that top 10% versus 99, 91 on the average of the rest of those offices. Now, Hygiene, 4684 on your top 10% versus the average of 2400, almost double. Part of that 10% that they're leading the industry. They're leading it through innovation and partnerships, data analytic tools that we can talk about in one of our next episodes as well. They're actually seeing what works and repeating it. Jarvis is a partner company of ours too, that you can recommend to your doctors too. The more we can help them grow their business and move them into that 10%, the more we're going to see on the laboratory side in the end. Now, moving on into kind of subject number 2 here, I just added a couple little things here out of iData research. Some of them are pretty obvious, but some good numbers to have in your head. 55% of the market is still using those premium implant brands. That leaves 45% for more of the economy brands. CAD/CAM abutments continue to show double-digit growth. And then in 2027, projected there'll be 60,000 intraoral scanners installed across the market. You guys know that. You see that in your practices as well. In 2020, nearly 17% of the U.S. population was 65 or older, which is a lot of our full large type cases, things like that. By 2030, that demographic is expected to exceed 20%. So that means, one, we've got a growing population year over year, and two, we've got a growing percentage of those baby boomers moving to the 20% from the 17, so more opportunities for those type cases. So lastly, this is a teaser for next time. They want me to pre-record these things because we're a publicly held company. We talk about industry standards and things like that. What I'll go over next time, and not that we don't have great information this time, but I'm going to go over, these are the different, kind of categories we can look through in our data. Restorative, and then we can break that down into amalgams. We can break it down into single crowns, gold, inlay onlays, and then other restorative services. And then we've got, resin-based composite restorations. How many of these are going more towards printing, etc.? So we'll look at some of this data next time. I'm also going to dive into implants. How are those growing? We'll look at 22, 23, and 24 and see how those are growing across the board. And then I'm also going to dive into removables. How are removables looking? One of the key takeaways here from some of this data that we'll see is, single crowns are growing. We all know it. They still take us a lot of labor, a lot of time, but they're lower profitability for your practice. The full large cases, a little bit more high profitability when you're doing them correctly. And that's some key things that we see, and we're trying to drive the industry and help our laboratories out on that. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to open this up. The next thing we're going to see is our Sigma team presentation, looking for and identify key values out of here for your takeaways. What can you take home today from Peter's presentation coming up next? From a value perspective and kind of what can you do in your laboratory. So I'm going to jump off camera. We're going to go to video. Carrie's going to cue us up with Peter's presentation.
Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Peter. I am the Senior Director of the Center of Business Excellence team here at Henry Schein. Looking forward to bringing you the Lean Six Sigma techniques within your lab space. We have 5 different agenda topics today. So if you're not familiar with Lean or Six Sigma, I'm going to give you a high-level introduction of both methodologies and concepts. We'll talk about the Henry Schein team, so the Center of Business Excellence team here at Henry Schein. Some of our core service offerings that we offer to you. So if you're interested, we'll have a contact information at the end. And then tools that you can apply right now within your lab space. So we'll get to it. Problem solving introduction. I love starting every conversation around Lean Six Sigma problem solving with this slide. Why do we need structured problem solving? Well, the studies show that organizations that do not use structured problem solving methods fail to improve their process 75% of the time. This is the throw it against the wall, the solution against the wall, hope it sticks, come to me with a solution, not a problem mentality. Studies show that actually doesn't work. So 25% of the time, it improves the process or problem that you're trying to solve. 50% of the time, there's no change. And 25% of the time, we're actually making the process or problem worse. So why is that? It's because we're not using structured problem solving, and we're also not using data to help drive and guide decision making. Why Lean Six Sigma? So Dan Heath, he's an author I really enjoy. I've worked for multiple Fortune 500 companies. Every business I partner with, this resonates with in terms of kind of the firefighting approach. So often in life, we get stuck in a cycle of response. We put out fires, we deal with emergencies, we handle one problem after another, but we never get around to fixing the process that causes the problem. That's why teams like mine exist. That's why we try to teach and build capabilities within the organizations around, trying to be a lot more proactive than reactive. One prime example of reactive approach is Expedia. Back in 2012, they were getting millions and millions and millions of customer support calls. And what they did was very reactive. They hired customer service reps after customer service reps to handle these customers calling in, until someone with a process mindset got involved, and they started thinking, well, what are all the reasons that these customers are calling? And what they found was the number one reason was that the customer wanted a copy of their itinerary. So they came up with 3 different solutions. They added an automated email. They changed how emails were sent to avoid spam filters. And they created online tools, so there's self-service options for customers to utilize themselves. And when they did this, they eliminated 20 million customer support calls in a given year at $5 a cost per customer support phone call. That's $100 million a year they saved, and just by being more proactive than reactive. So let's get into the concepts. Lean introduction. So if you're not familiar with Lean, it's a systematic approach. It's a methodology that we use to minimize waste and maximize value, and that's customer value, by continuously improving processes, enhancing efficiency in production and business operations. So the key here is Lean focuses on removing waste from a process, which we'll get into in a little bit, and maximizing customer value. So really emphasizing that customer experience. Deming says, put a good person in the bad system wins no contest. And when you think about system, think about your lab space and the people, the processes, the product, the technology, all working together is the system that you're looking at. So there's 5 principles of Lean. The first one is defining value. And again, this value is defined through the customer lens. So value from a Lean perspective is anything the customer is willing to pay for. So I'll bring up a couple different examples throughout the presentation today. One would be, if I get onto an airplane or, I go on a flight, I'm willing to pay for getting on the airplane and actually flying over to my destination. That's something I'm willing to pay for. There's other things like waiting for a couple hours or the delays or the TSA that I'm not willing to pay for as a customer. So think about value as anything your customer is willing to pay for. Mapping the value stream is super valuable. I would say any sort of mapping of value streams or process mapping is super valuable because you're able to see a process now that is typically just happening in the background. So by mapping it out, you're able to see it. When you're able to see it, you can start to see the opportunities and the waste within the process. So mapping out the core value stream it's typically 5 to 7 steps within the process that you're looking to map out. Create the flow. So in the lean environment, you want to remove the waste. So after you map out the process and get some data behind it, you could start seeing issues and opportunities, what we call waste within the process. So you look to remove that waste, create that flow. You want to establish a pull system versus a push system. Think about push system as inventory buildup. We're ordering a lot of products, but we're not sure that the demand, whereas pull system is more that just-in-time ordering. And then pursuing perfection. So really think about pursuing perfection as continuous improvement. No matter what problem you solve, what process you improve, there's always going to be this mindset that you need to continuously improve it. There's always going to be opportunities and things that pop up. So define value, map the value stream, create flow, establish pull, and pursue perfection through continuous improvement. So we talked about value. Value is core in lean. There's 3 types of value. Value add, we talked about what the customer is willing to pay for. Business value add is a little bit different. The customer's not willing to pay for it, but it's required to do by the business. So this could be a compliance, legal. We see that a lot in the lab or medical spaces that we're obligated through compliance or legal to do something. So the customer's not willing to pay for it, but we have to do it as a business. Think about, again, that example I gave about going on a flight. Say I'm going on a business trip or vacation, and I go through that TSA security. That's something that it's a business value add. I'm not willing to pay for it as a customer, but the business has to do it. So typically a business value add step in your process, you can't eliminate it, but you can mitigate it or minimize it. So you could look at that TSA wait line and say, all right, is there opportunities to make that better? Non-value added is something that customer is not willing to pay for. So this creates no value. These are the typical wastes within the process. These are steps within your process that you can not only mitigate or minimize, you can actually eliminate those steps as well. So what's waste in the process? Talked a lot about waste today. So waste or non-value activities within the process are considered waste. We use this acronym TIMWOODS. There's 8 different waste. The acronym is TIMWOODS. So transportation, moving items or inventory. Say we order a product from a supplier, it goes to one of our DCs and we move it to a 3PL and eventually it gets to our customer. That's transportation waste. How can we minimize that or eliminate some of those steps? Inventory waste, I think everyone knows inventory, items or information that customers not received, so that creates that inventory. Motion, excessive movement within the workspace. I always use a Starbucks example. I order a yogurt parfait from Starbucks and the cashier, they don't give you the spoons anymore. It has to go to the other end of the aisle, grab a spoon, bring it back and give it to me. That's motion waste within that workspace. How can we minimize that or eliminate that? Waiting for information or items to arrive. It's huge. We talked about that TSA wait line, where you're waiting for your cup of coffee or whatever it may be, your customers are waiting. That's a big opportunity to kind of improve. Over-processing, doing more work than is necessary. Oftentimes I deal with customer call centers where we intake the customer information and then we have to record that phone call and post it. And then sometimes people post it in 5 or 6 different systems. That's over-processing. We're doing too much within that process. Overproduction, doing work before it's needed. So this is considered kind of the godfather of all waste because it leads to inventory and all these other issues as well. So doing work, more work than is actually needed. Defects, huge mistakes and errors that need to be reworked. So this is a big one. Defects, rework, it leads to wasted time, wasted labor, also products that need to be replaced. And then skills. Look at skills within your lab space of underutilized workers, or is the skill set matching the type of work that they're doing? So waste is everywhere throughout your lab, throughout your business. What you want to do is identify and eliminate these wastes as much as you can, and it's a central focus of a lean system. Okay, we'll go into Six Sigma introduction. So that was lean. So think of lean about efficiency, removing the waste to make the process more efficient. And Six Sigma is more about reducing variability in the process and improving quality. So 2 main parts of Six Sigma are DMAIC, which is kind of the framework methodology. It's 5 phases: define, which is you understand your problem, you create your project charter, you get your team together. It's the mobilization phase. Measure is the data phase where you're going out, and if you're saying there's a problem, show it to me. Understand what's going on with the process, baseline it. Analyze is coming up with those root causes. What are the main root causes that are causing the effect, which is the problem? Then you go into improve, which is solution, pilot, roll out, and then control, making sure at the very end that what we put in place is actually working. So again, the core methodology is DMAIC. It's 5 phases: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And then also using data. So using the data, statistical tools to help identify those root cause to make and develop repeatable solutions. So Six Sigma is essentially, what it means is, in terms of defects, it's 3.4 defects per million. So if I would ship 1 million products to our customers, that means 3.4 of those would have some sort of defect within them. Most companies operate at a 4 Sigma level, which is a 99.38% success rate. Seems pretty good. From a defects per million standpoint, that's a little bit over 6,000. Is that good enough for your lab? Is it good enough for your business? So this is a good example to go through. On the right-hand side, we have the Six Sigma view of quality. So this is at 3.4 defects at 99.99% versus the 99% on the classical view of 3.8 Sigma on the left-hand side. So we'll take lost articles of mail per hour. If it was a Six Sigma process, you would only have 7 lost articles. If it was a classic view, the 3.8, you would have 20,000 lost articles of mail per hour. Pretty big difference when you put it that way. In terms of unsafe drinking water, on the right-hand side, from a Six Sigma perspective, that's 1 unsafe minute every 7 months versus a 3.8, which is unsafe drinking water for almost 15 minutes each day. In terms of surgical operations, so this is huge, right? If you're having a surgical operation, you probably want to have a Six Sigma process over a 3.8 or 4 Six Sigma process. So from the right-hand side, 1.7 incorrect operations per week versus on the left, 5,000 incorrect surgical operations per week. Big, big difference. Drug prescriptions on the right-hand side from a Six Sigma, 68 wrong drug prescriptions per year. On the left-hand side, 200,000 wrong drug prescriptions per year. And finally, if we're looking at electricity, it's 1 hour without electricity on the Six Sigma perspective. On the 4 Sigma, no electricity for almost 7 hours each month. Again, this just highlights the big difference between going even from a normal 4 Sigma to a Six Sigma process. Okay, so what are some benefits of deploying Lean Six Sigma? GE in the first 5 years of deploying Lean Six Sigma saved $12 billion. Companies use it, Fortune 500 companies use this methodology, all for different reasons. Improving productivity, improving quality, reducing operational costs, improving customer satisfaction, like we talked about in the Lean section, and improving employee engagement. Here at Henry Schein, we use it for all areas there. But again, you can use it for one specific focus if you want. On the right-hand side, these are all the different companies that have used Lean or Six Sigma, within their company and their corporate structure. So there's the McKessons of the world, the Cardinal Health. There's a lot of different companies out there as well that use this practice. Okay, so I'll introduce you to the Henry Schein team. Here at Henry Schein, we have a Center of Business Excellence. We have 7 fully dedicated TSMs. We're Lean Six Sigma process improvement specialists. This is kind of what we do 24/7. We partner with internal or external businesses and partners to really help improve their processes and improve their business. We have over 100 years of experience within the Lean Six Sigma or process improvement space. We have 82 years of experience at Henry Schein, so we have kind of that institutional knowledge and technical knowledge at the same time. And we have a lot of different certifications like black belts, master black belts. We have a bunch of folks on the team that are change management certified as well. Our core mission is that drive that culture of continuous improvement. Our mission is to be your trusted partner. And our goals are really to build the capability of our organization, your organization around structured problem solving. We also want to deliver measurable benefits. So we talked about those benefits of customer experience, employee efficiencies, cost-saving opportunities, and then educate and collaborate with our suppliers, our customers, to introduce these Lean Six Sigma concepts and deliver tangible impact. So our team utilizes Lean to help drive speed, efficiency, Six Sigma to help improve quality, reduce variation, and together, the Lean Six Sigma makes operations more efficient with higher quality. So service offerings and benefits here at Henry Schein, our Center of Business Excellence team offers 4 different core services. And again, we help drive results, make things better in your practice within your lab space. So the first one is around Kaizens, workshop facilitation. So a Kaizen is essentially a 1 to 5 day event where you get fully dedicated cross-functional employees to help solve an organizational challenge. Typically, we have projects, and projects can last up to 6 to 9 months. Kaizens workshops, we're very focused on a certain topic that we're looking to kind of improve. And also we're getting that 100% dedication from all employees in that, who we select within the workshop to actively be there if it's a 5-day event for those 5 days. Business assessments and transformations. This is a comprehensive 360-degree assessment of the entire business system. So think about what we talked before about people, processes, product, technology. How is everything working together as a system? These assessments, we go in and we look at those core areas and give an overall kind of action plan and assessment of the business. Training and certification programs. We offer multiple trainings. We have 1-day Lean trainings. We offer our own internal process excellence certification program as well. This helps build the capability of employees within the organization to really work on projects and deliver results around those key metrics. And then lastly, we do project consultation services. So this is either leading projects or coaching folks as well, working on different projects that you're looking to solve or problems that you're trying to solve within your lab. So again, 4 different key services: Kaizen, workshops, business assessments, training and certification, and project consultation and services. Our benefits are very similar to kind of what you saw before. So a lot of times we focus on cost savings opportunities within whatever problem that we're looking to solve, growth opportunities. So this is revenue growth, customer satisfaction. So improving customer experience, productivity and margin, and the overall employee experience. Typically, we find these engagements by getting employees more involved in the process. You're going to see more engagement through your staff. All right, so now we're going to switch gears. Tools that you can implement right now. I'm just going to cover 2 quick tools. One is 5S. So 5S is a tool that helps look at transportation and motion waste within your workspace. So I used to, when I first started my career, I worked for an insurance company. I was running a litigation unit. And what we found was every desk space was completely different. So what our staff would get would be these demand packets. And if you don't respond within 30 days, you get a default judgment. So if an attorney is asking for $1 million, then they would be rewarded $1 million. So what we found is when we had employees leave or transition out, we would look at their desk and we would find these demand packets all over the place, and they would be late. So what we did was we did a 5S workspace. So the first thing we did, we went to everyone's workspace and we made sure that everyone sorted all the items. So here you're looking at what's required, what's not required. Then we did the second S, which is set in order. Think about set in order as organization. Determine the most logical way to arrange things. We shine the area, which is cleaning. We standardize it. So we had sections where we had labels for each bin for people to put in. And then sustain. We had our management staff walk around once a month just to make sure everyone's following the procedures. So this is kind of a 5S tool that you can use within your lab. You can add a 6S of safety if you want to as well, making sure that the space is also safe as well. So here's an example before. So you can have, obviously, there's a lot of opportunity to organize, to kind of standardize this as well. Here you see the organized lab space with the bins as well. So you have that standardization aspect of it as well. So big difference there. Creates a better work environment. Second tool I'm going to bring to you today is the spaghetti diagram. Spaghetti diagram used to help look at physical flow within the space. So this is, again, that transportation motion waste. So if you have, we've worked with different kind of distribution centers or centers itself, and this could be a typical flow of when a product comes in to it going out. So there's a lot of opportunity where you have a lot of motion and transportation within the process here. Afterwards, you can kind of see the big difference. So again, you're eliminating that transportation, you're eliminating that motion within the workspace. So those are just a couple tools. Next steps, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. We have an email there, cbx@henryschein.com. If you're interested in any of our services, like the Kaizen facilitation, the certification, project consultation, anything that we talked about before, please let us know. Feel free to call, email, or also talk to Mark as well. So if you want more information, please feel free to reach out. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you very much.
All right, great. Thank you, Peter. We are also doing some sampling of that consulting inside laboratories with some of Peter's teams as we speak, trying to figure out, where can we bring value. Two key points there for sure. We got number one, let's get rid of waste. Let's optimize that profitability like we just talked about. We got, single crowns being a big portion of our business and, profitability being low. Anything we can do from that lean perspective drives more profitability. And then the other side is the quality, right? If we put those different stats like the mail stat or the drug medication stat, we put that into our numbers of sending out those crowns or sending out those screw retained implant cases or whatever it is, the happier our doctors with that Six Sigma quality, the more they're going to continue to send us more and more business. So another good segue here is going to be moving into, do we have any questions? I don't think we have any questions right now. Peter, anything you want to add before I segue into the next one?
Yeah, it looks like Travis had a question around getting started. So reach out if you're interested. Typically, we have kind of an exploratory kickoff call where we can fill out what we call like a project charter and kind of assess the need. So happy to kind of set that up if you're interested.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. All right. So now we kind of ended that with one of the tools was showing the spaghetti diagram was one. And then we're showing, all right, now here's the lab bench. Where do I put what? What containers go in what spots? This is a perfect part to move into Ed Ingerson's portion here all right, so we've got, 5, 10, 15, 20,000 square foot labs. What do I do with 811,000 square feet, Ed? So let's see this quick little interview here from Ed, and then we'll have some questions about how we manage where we put what, where in 811,000 square feet. So, Carrie, if you don't mind, let's cue up the interview with Ed. All right, welcome to our first interview here on the Zahn Insider podcast. Today with us, we've got Ed Ingerson. We're actually here in our new distribution center in Fort Worth, Texas. Ed, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Edward Ingerson, Vice President of Distribution for the West, South, and Canada, and I also manage our distribution support and process improvement team.
So wow, this is a gigantic facility you have here. How many distribution centers does that cover?
So I'm responsible for 6 distribution centers in North America.
Nice. And how big is this facility here?
This is our largest facility at 811,000 square feet. In fact, it's the largest distribution center that Henry Schein has on Earth.
Wow, wow. Tell me about the move from Grapevine over here to Fort Worth.
So it was a big project. We moved from 242,000 square feet. So we were out of space. That's one of the reasons that we moved. We were landlocked, had no expansion opportunity, and we really needed more space. And so with this facility, we're able to move the entire operation and our significant inventory and number of SKUs that we have. We have over 30,000 SKUs here. We have $70 million in inventory. And it was really about, getting more space to accommodate the growth that we see in the organization. we were using off-site storage for a meaningful amount of our inventory. And that's just not the way we want to run our business. We want to be able to have all of our inventory in one place, for us to utilize. So, the move was a complex operation. We have several hundred people that work here. So when you go from one location to another, you're worried about, will everybody make the move with us? We didn't want to have a drain in our, tenure and the experience that our team brings to the table, because that's a big component of our success. We have a really tenured distribution team here. In fact, over 50% of the people in this building working today have over 5 years of service with Henry Schein. From a management team perspective, 60% have over 5 years and 80% have been with the company almost 10 years. Wow. So it's a really important thing. However, so a lot of planning went into the move, a lot of peer review. We had consultants that worked with us, but at the end of the day, it was Team Schein drawing on people that we have in our engineering department, people in our information systems department, information technology, and also our own operations, distribution people, and other people in supply chain. We brought in people from around the country, and basically we're able to make this move over the period of 2 weekends without disrupting service to a single customer. We shipped everything on time as we would in any normal organization. And by the end of March, we were fully out of the Grapevine facility and shipping 100% from our new home here in Fort Worth.
Wow. So with that move, did we lose any team members? Did we lose any Team Schein members?
So we've had one Team Schein member that didn't make the move with us. And it was due to, a really long commute. But, we had all of our management team, so all the management team moved with us, which is great. And again, 99% of our team made the move and is here today with us.
How many Team Schein members is that?
So we got about 200 people here.
Okay.
200 team members.
Gotcha. You mentioned a lot of things there. So one of which was we were over capacity for the old facility, storing off-site. What capacity are we at with the 811 square foot you mentioned we have here?
So we're operating in about 500,000 square feet of the 800.
Okay.
So we have a lot of dry powder. We have another 300,000 square feet that we have plans for, but it can also include expansion. And so, one of the things I like to talk about is a sorter. So last night, for example, we processed 15,000 cartons. That's the number of cartons that we shipped out of here.
Wow.
Our sorter has the capacity to do 3,000 cartons an hour. So if you look at, what's the theoretical capacity of the facility, we could process 74,000 cartons if we chose to, operate, in a 24-hour environment. So we have a lot of capacity left, but we've done it in such a way that we haven't overbuilt our infrastructure. So in some of the other places, we didn't spend the capital, the money on building out stuff that we're not going to use right away. So we're making sure that for the 500,000 square feet that we have, we're utilizing it in the best way that we can to be efficient and still, keep an eye on the bottom line.
Wow, that efficient thing I want to come back to in just a second. But first, why this location? As I drove in this morning, I saw Callaway, I saw Walmart.com, I saw a gigantic Amazon facility and many more. Why this area?
So this is part of Alliance, Texas, a 27,000 acre development by the Hillwood Corporation. And they've had a presence here in the area for several years. They've worked hard to develop the infrastructure that we need in terms of power, in terms of, bringing people in, so you have a staff of folks that can work. We're close to the Alliance Airport. It's a industrial airport. The FedEx Southwest facility is over there. We're close to UPS, has a sortation facility nearby. The Burlington Northern Santa Fe intermodal facility is also just south of us. So when we bring in containers from overseas, they can land at the Burlington Northern Santa Fe facility and get to us. And then we're near I-35 West, which formerly was known as the NAFTA Superhighway. So we have great access to highways, infrastructure, and really a great partner with the Hillwood to ensure that we're in the right place and have the right support behind us to continue to grow in the future.
Gotcha. You mentioned Alliance, so that's Ross Perot Jr. I saw him speaking the other day. And with that, he said he's got another 26,000 square feet for us, or acres for us, if we should need that. So yeah, plenty of room to grow as well.
He was here yesterday and was part of our tour. We're thrilled that he was there. He said a few words to our team, and we were together during the tour. And it's really interesting to have a partner like that because he understands industrial distribution, and he understands a bit about our industry. And so he asks really great questions and understands our business that much more. So as we continue in the future, I know we have a partner there that can help us expand and grow as needed.
That's fantastic. So you mentioned the airport and a FedEx facility. Tell me a little bit about what you did before Henry Schein.
Right. So you know that when I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. When I was going to school at Michigan State, it's a really big supply chain school. I started working for FedEx part-time as a package handler. And so when I got my degree, they offered me a full-time job, which I accepted. And I worked in various operations roles with FedEx Ground for almost 9 years. I then went to another distributor for 4 years and then was recruited to Henry Schein. And I've now been here for nearly 23 years.
Wow, 23 years. That's a phenomenal record.
Yeah.
So appreciate everything you're doing for this now. Let's get into some of the technology. Tell me, what makes this facility, what's the technology you use? Super cool what I saw yesterday, everything, all the 18-wheelers are coming in one side, coming out the other side. We got conveyor belts all over the place. How much, I think you said like over a mile.
Over 7,000 feet of conveyor with 1,000 different sensors along the way to keep track of where our packages are, to make sure that they get to the right trailer, the right time, so they get dispatched on time for our customers. But it all starts on the inbound side. And so every day we get about 400 packages from UPS. We get several truckloads of material from less than truckload carriers from a variety of different vendors. Ideally, we'll have an advanced shipment notification, or an ASN. It's an EDI transaction that tells us electronically beforehand what's part of that shipment very exactly. So when we receive it in, we're able to scan a barcode on it and it populates with what's part of that shipment. So what's great about that is when we cut a purchase order, and for example, if the vendor doesn't ship us a purchase order complete, there's some things that are on back order. We're not hunting through that order to find the things that they didn't ship. We know exactly what they have, and we can plan a little bit beforehand in terms of labor and staffing to make sure that we can, very quickly bring the products, off the truck, process them into our system, make sure that the expiration dates are correct, for example, make sure that they're not damaged. It's exactly what we wanted, and then we can inject them into the inventory. So when you talk about technology there, one of the things that we want to make sure is that we have a way to identify if a product comes in, and say, for example, we only have a few days of inventory left on the shelf. Rather than put that to a reserve location, we'll say, well, get that to the forward pick location because we might need it really soon. Versus some stuff that comes in that for whatever reason we have a lot of supply, because maybe it comes from overseas, we're carrying more inventory to make sure that we don't have a supply chain disruption. That product will go to a reserve location. We may not touch it again for another 6 weeks. So that's some of the technology on the inbound side that makes us efficient. When we go put the product away,
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
where do I put it? I got 500,000 square feet of spots to put it. Where do I put it?
The system, identifies the best location to take it away. A team member will get it there either through an order picker or some other, machinery to get it to where it needs to go. And when it arrives at the location, all of our locations have barcodes on them. And so the team member will scan the location and scan the product. And as long as the system confirms that that's where their product wants to live, it'll let them proceed with the transaction to put the product away. If for some reason one or the other doesn't match, you can't complete the transaction. And so that helps ensure we've got the right product in the right slot, which is really important, for the overall accuracy in terms of order picking.
Gotcha. Well, my closet is difficult to organize to put the right things in the right places. So now we know how it gets there, but how did we decide that that was the right spot to go?
Yeah, so what you're referring to there is called slotting. And I can explain slotting and say, well, that's the system determines the best spot for it, it's the most efficient. If we stop the conversation there, you say, well, that's really interesting. But when you say, how does it do that? That's where the science behind it comes into play. And at Henry Schein, we develop proprietary technology to identify where the best spot is. And so we look at lots of different inputs. One is how frequently do we pick it? So say, for example, you ship 100 units a month and there's 20 operating days. So you're saying, okay, well then you must ship 5 a day. And so if you only built a slot off of that, you'd say, well, I want to keep, a few days worth of inventory in that slot. However, when you really dig into the data, you realize that we only pick that twice during the month for a particular customer, say, for example. So if I only had a few in the slot, when I really need 25 or 50 each time I go pick it, I wouldn't have the correct amount in the slot. And that could delay the order. It could perhaps prevent it from being shipped that day. So that's another component. The frequency that gets picked, how many units at each pick, and then finally, how big is this stuff, right? So that determines like how much space do I need? And so a lot goes into the slotting model to make sure that we have it in the most efficient spot. The next thing that we do is look at something like a basket of goods. And that's when, for example, if you go to the store and when you buy a certain thing, you usually buy other things. When people buy hot dogs, they usually buy hot dog buns. That's an easy example. Same thing in our business. When customers buy different things, sometimes they get grouped together. So we try and accommodate those items so that they're near each other where we can to make it a more efficient pick. So rather than having them in varied spots throughout the warehouse, through a basket of goods, we have them nearby each other to help ensure we do the most efficient pick.
Nice. So we got technology that knows what's coming in. We got technology to verify we put it in the right spot. We got technology and software that determines where that best spot is. Now, what about getting it out? So now we got to ship it to our customers. Some stuff I'm sure goes air, some goes freight or truck or however. How do we determine that?
It happens. A lot of it happens upstream with our JD Edwards, software, where we identify that customer where they are in the world, and from that we can determine what distribution center to send that order to. Do they have the inventory? If they don't, then we do have the ability to ship from other warehouses if needed. But our goal is to have the inventory at the place where our customers are. We then verify that they have the right licensure to make sure that they do it, and other things that we look at to make sure that we can compliantly, from a regulatory standpoint, ship them those items to make sure that the physician has their license on file, things like that. And then we beam it to the distribution center. And then from there, we decide, if it's a case item, for example, we'll look at the order. If there's cases, they get split off and go to the case picking department. If it's a loose item, it gets split off and go to the loose picking department. And so the beauty of that is later they'll all get onto the same trailer going to UPS and will appear on the same package car for delivery. But for loose pick, we use a technology called Lucas Voice Pick technology. And the way that works is the team member wears a headset, has a module that they wear. It's a Bluetooth, wireless headset, and it will tell them where to go. It'll tell them the location, similar to what we did in Put Away. When they arrive at the location, they'll have to speak back a check digit that's unique to that location. If the system recognizes that they're at the correct spot, Jennifer is the voice that you hear. Jennifer will tell you how many to pick. And so she may say pick 2. And so we'll reply grab 2. And then when we go put it into the cart that we have, each tote has a check digit as well. And so the team member will speak the check digit associated with that tote. If they don't say the right check digit, then Jennifer will let you proceed. She'll say check tote. And so then you respond hopefully with the correct tote and do that the first time. And then you can go ahead and put the 2 to that tote. And that's how you go through the entire process. So it does a few things. Before voice, our number one picking error was wrong item. So they went to the wrong location, grabbed the wrong item, and picked it. That was our number one error. Now with Jennifer, because you've got a check string on that location, those are practically eliminated. The second was the incorrect quantity. When we used to pick on paper, for example, you could read 2 that you wanted to get 2, the process is to circle the number, but when you actually grab it, a lot of times they'd only grab 1. And so for items where you had to grab more than 1, that was our second most frequent error, was the wrong quantity. The act of saying the number of items you need to pick, whether it's 2, 5, or 10, drives that compliance. Something just about how you do, when you say it, you actually grab the 2 now, and you have to confirm it. So that drove down. So we have really high accuracy. In fact, our accuracy today is 99.95%. So we're proud of that. And that's not just at the Fort Worth Distribution Center. That's at all of our distribution centers here in the United States.
Nice. So Jennifer sounds like how I got here this morning. I had Google Maps telling me, take, whoa, not that left, take the next left kind of situation, making sure that all these parts and pieces get picked the right way.
There's all sorts of stuff there with Lucas as our partner. We've been a partner with Lucas for many years now. And because of our tenure with them, we develop new products with them. We beta test things for them. We have a tight relationship. And that's another thing with Henry Schein is, the vendor partnerships that we have and the type of relationship that we build with our vendor partners, I think is competitive strength and an advantage that we have over other distributors.
Gotcha. Something else you told me earlier in our discussion was when you're putting things, so we deal with most of my labs have lots of implant parts, things like that. So 2 things. You mentioned with the old facility, we had off-site storage, we had kind of what we need today storage.
Yeah.
That's how most of my labs work, where they got, this technician is going to need to pick lots of the same part. But you mentioned something to me about the storage facility in the back or how we do it. How do we place items? Do we place all the very similar parts together?
Yeah, so that's part of the sliding discussion. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't cover it. But we don't put like items together. A lot of times we have tours through here and somebody will say, well, why don't you have all the burrs together? Why don't you have all this manufacturer stuff together? And the reason is by separating them, it helps identify errors much easier. So if I were to grab, say, for example, say the customer wants a burr, and I had all the burrs right next to each other. If I, for some reason, just happened to grab the wrong one, even though we've got the check string, I wouldn't necessarily identify that I grabbed the wrong burr. You know, it could go to packing and they're supposed to do 100% check there, but they still may miss that it was a number 2 instead of a number 3 or something like that. Now, if I have, you know, say, for example, I have gloves and then I have burrs and then I have impression material and then I have syringes, if I grab anything other than that burr, because I don't have like items next to it, when it gets to packing, somebody's like, wait a second, I have impression material here, I don't have burrs.
Right.
You know, so it really jumps out. The other thing that's important is we have a very sensitive in-motion scale. So at the completion of packing, when everything's done, we put void fill, it goes to it's on the conveyor and away it goes over a very accurate scale. And if the weight is off by more than 10%, it diverts it for inspection. So by having different items next to each other, we can usually catch a lot of the items. Now, something like a burr, you know, maybe not, but certainly in case picking, when we're picking cases, if we grab the wrong case of something, then that usually jumps out immediately. We'll have a case divert and realize, oh, somebody picked the wrong case. And we can correct it, so that way the customer still gets exactly what they wanted and they get it on time.
Phenomenal. So to close out, 23 years experience.
Yeah.
Billions at Henry Schein, without talking about FedEx and everything else.
Yeah.
Billions of packages shipped out of here. All that data going into proprietary software that just keeps making us better and better and better, faster. Already at 99.5% shipping accuracy.
Yeah.
Tell me, you know, what is this all? Obviously, it means customers get packages quicker, faster, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Tell me anything else you can think of that this means to our customers. What's your goal for our customers?
So I tell people that we sell confidence here. I think it's really important that the customers trust that we'll get them exactly what they want on time, in good condition, great expiration dates, you know, damage free, and that they can rely on us. You know, we're part of your business too. Your success is our success. And so it's really important that we do it the right way the first time. And we're partners. We're not perfect, Mark. If we make a mistake, we'll own it. But the key is that we will fix it quickly and we'll address it. And we've built systems and processes to try and ensure that we don't make those mistakes to start with. So I feel like we're in business together and that we have a very high standard here, and we want to be your first choice when you need products and services in your industry.
All right, you mentioned that shipping accuracy with all these thousands of sensors in here was 99.95%.
Yes.
What about time? How about getting them out on time?
I'm glad you asked that. On-time shipping is critically important to us. In fact, Stan Bergman, our chairman and CEO, says the trains run on time at Henry Schein, and the trains run on time. So our goal is to ship every order that we get today before 5 o'clock local. So if you get us the order before 5 o'clock, it ships today. And we get to, now this is a number across North America, or excuse me, across the United States, 93% of our customers get their orders next day on the ground with UPS. You know, others are in a 2-day point where it takes a little bit longer to get there. But in terms of shipping the product and getting it out the door, give me the order before 5 today, it ships today. And we are 100% on that number. You know, so there, on occasion, there's things that happen, for example, weather, some other things that may delay a package, but we're really proud of our on-time shipping number. So, you know, we're near 100% every day.
Well, Ed, I appreciate it.
Mark, thank you.
Thanks for the hospitality for the guests. We have some cool video shots that'll show everybody around the facility too.
Yeah.
So I want to appreciate your openness and really thank you for your time.
You're welcome, Mark.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Ed.
Ed.
Yeah.
I picked my jacket this morning. I almost picked that same jacket. So I'm like, phew, good thing I didn't pick that jacket.
I was thinking the same thing.
And anything else you maybe want to add to it, or anything else, Peter, you want to add as well?
Well, I guess the one thing I'll say is that, you know, Peter's team, the process excellence team, have been working hand in hand with distribution as the company goes through these these opportunities. And so it is a, formalized way of looking at issues and getting to root causes. And I do believe that our adoption of that is one of the reasons for our success, and will only continue to get better. So it's wonderful to see that we're sharing that strength with customers.
Peter, you have a closing music too, or just your intro music?
Listen, the intro music was nice. Yeah, listen, if anyone has any questions, now is the time to ask, or even afterwards, you have my email and Mark's information as well. So hope you found it valuable over the last hour or so.
No doubt. Looking forward to everybody's feedback. We're actually, Andrew's going to post in the chat too that you guys can send emails to Zahn Insider at henryschein.com. Zahn Insider at henryschein.com. Tell us what you thought. Tell us what you want next time. We'll do this. We're going to start out every quarter. One of these days we may be going every month. What we'll do is bring value, bring assets that Henry Schein has to our customers. So looking forward to seeing everybody next time. Cheers. Appreciate it. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.